go furthermore. To start this session, I'm going to invite our moderator, who himself is a neuroscientist, and he is a researcher, and he has been a student of yogic neuroscience. So I invite Shekhar Mayanilji to get and ask the panelists to start coming here on the panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sauravji. That was really appreciated. Okay, this is the session where we will be discussing the spirituality in the age of algorithms. And this, I'll just lay out the format as to how we are going to do that. Defining, it will be in the three different sections, and there will be a war zone here, and amongst you all, I would like to have a Wall Street type of atmosphere here. Oh, you are not right. Oh, how can you say that? Those kind of excitement should be there, right? Defining spirituality / dharma, algorithm, what is it all about? That's the first step. Then what is the algorithm doing to mankind or humankind essentially? Then how spirituality can help us live wisely with technology. So, okay. Now we have some unbelievable panel here. I feel so humble to sit and next to them, honestly. They are just great people. We have two Rams in our group. Ram is not the Dashrath Putra. Dashrath Putra's name was Ram, but Ram means Sarveshu Ramante iti Rama. So that which pervades everything is Ram. And then what happens? Then when the Ram is unmanifest consciousness gets manifested, they get manifested as Ram Krishna and Ram Subramanyam. And those will be sitting, so please occupy your seat. Ramkrishna Hosurji is a Padma Bhushan awardee, and he is from IIT Mumbai. So please occupy the last one. And then the best thing is Sharda ji now. Now Ram, Sarveshu Ramante iti Rama, Brahma manifested. Sir, these are the two Rams from Ram manifested here, two of them, right? So how do they manifest? It is like a high level of energy when gets condensed through Bose-Einstein condensation. You please sit here because you are going to attend the two Rams at the end. Two Rams at the end, and then Sharda ji, Saraswati. Can you believe? I mean, this is manifested. The entire cosmos is right here. Sharda ji. And what do they all mean actually? Yes. And now this another genius, and suddenly one of the most beautiful human beings I have seen somehow, and that is Jeffrey ji. Jeffrey ji. Now, what does Jeffrey ji and all these names mean? Sharda, you know, is Saraswati, right? Saraswati, the please.
I was looking for this person you were describing.
Jeffrey ji's name is, Jeffrey comes from German origin, which means peace. Peace that passeth all understanding. That's what Jeffrey means actually. So I am just deciphering the juice of their names, you know. Basically that's what it is all about. So anyway, Krishna is definitely very, very knowledgeable. Ram is knowledgeable. Subramanyam is knowledgeable. So there is a whole lot of, the entire darbar is sitting here. So I will, sorry.
अभी हम एक बताएंगे आपके लिए आप शेखर दादा हो जिनकी माया नील हो गई
क्या बात है थैंक यू दादा थैंक यू सो in the opening remarks, I will ask each one of you to introduce yourself. I introduce in a very high level. For people like me, you have to introduce how and what you have been doing and what makes you come here. And the idea is to give your perspective about spirituality in the age of algorithm in 2 words, in 2 minutes each.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. I worked at the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research for 45 years. For my area of specialization is chemistry, biology, interface, using various techniques, especially nuclear magnetic resonance. And then after I retired from there, I joined the IIT Bombay as distinguished visiting professor in the biosciences and bioengineering department. One of my students is the professor there, so actually he invited me to be there, so I am there. So I help his students and his postdocs and things like that. So all along I have been interested in spirituality and during my work as well. So spirituality has always guided me. Dharma has always been throughout my work. Give a little bit of introduction about what my thinking about dharma or spirituality is. You see, dharma is a subject which one can talk about for hours and hours and hours. Several people have talked about it from different lectures here. But let me start with one particular thing from the Bhagavad Gita. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing which is more sacrosanct than knowledge. And knowledge has 2 components, material knowledge and adhyatmic knowledge. Material knowledge we have been discussing all along, and all scientists, everybody follows that. And adhyatmic knowledge includes some things which are not verifiable. Direct experimentation is not possible. This includes things like dharma, adharma, moksha, punya, papa, etc. Consciousness, superconsciousness, all of these things. But these are important, they cannot be denied. And therefore it is important to understand both of these ones. And dharma has been defined earlier as dharayati iti dharmaha. And of course Ram Subramaniam Ji has given several definitions of dharma. Then of course there are other definitions which can be there. Vishnu Sahasranama says dharmo dharma viduttamaha, which means dharma is the name of Vishnu himself. And dharma means the person who understands dharma. And where does he understand? How do we know this? Vedavit, Vedaischa sarvai ahame vedyo vedantakrat veda videva chaham. So all the Vedas describe me. This is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Vedavit, he is the knowledge, he is the knower of Vedas. And he is creator of the Vedantas. So therefore I think we will expand more on this later.
Yes.
And I think I will stop here.
Thank you. You can give it to him. Yeah.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you for that very kind introduction. And I'm very grateful to be here. My journey to this place began in the small town in Missouri where I grew up. And when I was quite young, our family suffered a really terrible tragedy. My father was in an accident that ultimately led to his passing away when I was 12. And this sort of set me off on a journey of discovery. What happens after we die? Why do we die? Why do we suffer? Why do we experience the things we do in this world? And I could say much more, but I have been given 2 minutes, so I'll just say that in a church parking lot, of all places, at a sale, I encountered my first copy of the text that Ramakrishna Ji was just citing, of the Bhagavad Gita, and it changed my life, and it set me off on this journey. I spend my time writing, studying, thinking about these things. I teach at a small college in Pennsylvania called Elizabethtown College, and very grateful to have been invited and to be here with all of you. So, spirituality in the age of algorithms. What have algorithms done? They're a very useful tool. They help websites and internet service providers give us what they think we want based on previous choices we have made. And almost like sanskars, right? You make choices and those lead to other choices. And so, for example, I was once searching on a website for socks. men's socks, and I was seeing if I could get some good cheap men's socks on the internet. For the following week, every time I logged on to the internet, no matter what site I went to, ads for socks appeared, and I thought, how do they know? It's the algorithm, right? What I'm going to say later in my remarks is that algorithms are unfortunately turning us into Swami Vivekananda's frog in the well, where we only see things that reinforce what we already think, how we already feel, and we're losing our connection with one another and even with ourselves, with our own true self. And I think the Dharma traditions have a lot to offer to help us to reconnect with ourselves, with one another, and with that deeper wisdom which they bear within themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sharda ji.
Okay. Namaskar, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here among so many learned people here. My journey, I was born in Suriname. Suriname is a country colonized by the Netherlands. In South America, yesterday we remembered the immigration story of those who left India 153 years ago. So I'm a descendant of those immigrants. My father's mother were from Rajasthan area, Dujar. I also visited that place, and it was very good to be there. My mother's side from Bihar. I was born in Suriname. My parents were born in Suriname. I left for studies to the Netherlands, and I stayed there. I started with psychology, and I thought I would learn a lot about consciousness, but that was not the case. So I started to do research trying to understand the drives of people, what really motivates people. I'm coming from a big family, 5 sisters, 3 brothers, and I always wondered why we are having the same kind of upbringing, but still there are differences. So I started to more and more thinking about it, and when I was in the Netherlands, I felt so much like homesick, being in a different country all the time with my mind in Suriname. So then I really went into understanding myself, and I started to read the Yoga Sutras, the Bhagavad Gita much more than one would expect at that age. And then I started to do research, but that was not fulfilling enough. So I started to study economics. So I thought, why going to the consciousness level myself, which I don't find the support in the university context. So with economics, I would do better research and all. But after a while, I noticed that both are not comprehensive. I needed both to understand reality in organizations. And I started to work with entrepreneurs, and then I felt like entrepreneurs really are actually very close to spirituality, because they are using rational data, but if things are not feeling well, right, they would not proceed with it. So I got interested much more in spirituality, and I started from 2008 to travel to India to learn more about it. And so my opening remarks, I would say, I'm at the moment professor in business and spirituality in a business university. I'm professor Hindu spirituality and society in the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. And so what am I doing is I find the encouragement if I read the Vaisheshika Sutra 1.12, where we say Yato abhyudaya nishrayasa siddhi sadharma. So I think then, okay, there is this underlying base, the dharma, which is helping me. If I try to look at the business side, that is the worldly prosperity. And if I look at the society, that's also that part of the reality. And we need both. And I really enjoy my work. In the past 20 years, you can say, It was not always easy, but bringing spirituality to context of management has been my passion, and I'm very happy to be here and share more about that.
By the way, apart from her achievements and great things that they have done, she herself as a being is a very inspiring person. Very, very, very. She spoke to me in Hindi as flawlessly as anybody in this audience can be. So, after 150 years of their migration, she has never seen India. I mean, she goes there, but not like we every year. Despite that, she has maintained her culture, her language, her Sanskriti, her sanskaras, all. I am so proud of you, really.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Balas.
Namaste. I will start with just two phrases. Algorithm guides processes, spirituality guides life.
क्या बात है? Wow.
So my journey into this world of algorithm started by going to the modern educational system, and the journey into spirituality was a wealth of family. So I hail from a family which has been deeply rooted in this. My grandfather dedicated his life only to Vedic teaching. In fact, in his will he writes, the only wealth that I had was Veda, and I have transferred it to both of my children. Okay. So that is the only wealth, that is what they considered. So all other things was immaterial for him. So that is the way I was trained to think along these lines. Journey into the modern world came through providence, I would say. I was a student of science, so Veda I learned from my father, and engineering. Then it just so happened that a physics professor from IIT Madras came before I took my final MSc physics examination and then said, we have taken a project which has to do with the study of algorithms in Indian astronomy. So the accuracy and optimality of algorithms. So that is how I was drawn into studying more and more into various other things, which is not so well known to the world. So I have been trying to engage myself in both these disciplines, fortunately, one by the wealth which was transferred in the lineage, the other by the training that I had in the modern educational system.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You can hold the mic right now. I'm going to ask you the same question to everybody. And that one is, I have written it down so that I don't get out of control. Dharma, spirituality and algorithm. You have already hinted at that. What does it mean to you personally, and how do you translate that personal belief or knowing into general masses? So this is the question.
Okay. Dharma, spirituality and algorithm.
Yeah.
In fact, she brought out a very interesting phrase. Yatobhyudhaya nishreyasa siddhihi sadharmaha. Yataha means from which. Abhyudaya is the material prosperity. Nishreyasa is a sense of fulfillment, moksha, which we alone can experience. Nirgatam shreyaha yasmat saha. That is how the word nishreyasa should be understood. So nirgatam shreyaha means beyond which we cannot think of anything better. So that is a sense of shanti which all of us seek for. So that which leads you to the material prosperity as well as translates you into a certain different domain, transforms you to enjoy a certain inner peace is dharma. In fact, even in the Vaisheshika Sutra, if we see, Vaisheshika Sutra is primarily to study the physical world. We have Nyaya Sutra, Vaisheshika Sutra, Mimamsa Sutra, Yoga Sutra, and so on. All the literature has been in the form of sutras long back. The first sutra is Athato Dharmam Vyakhyāsyāmaha. So this dharma that he is talking about is Padartha Dharma. Understand? The characteristics of various beings that we are observing in the physical world. So this is what dharma is. So yesterday I was just mentioning to you. So dharma is a very, very, very large principle which has various connotations, which all of you can see that. So when it comes to spirituality, this is a certain quest that people have had, and this has been brilliantly stated by Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad. He says, Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye asti teke nayamasti iti chaike yetad vidyam anushishtastvayaham varana meshavarastritiyaha. He says, prete means when this body becomes lifeless. Prakarishena ite. So this body gains a certain existence at a certain point of time with a certain life, and then this life leaves. So when this happens, vichikitsa is a certain inquiry which happens into the human being. Asti teke. A group of people say that there is something which is beyond this physical body, mind, body, sense complex. There are some people who say there is nothing which is beyond that. Asti teke nayamasti iti chaike etad vidyam. I want to know what exactly is the truth. This is the question that was posed by Nachiketa to Yama. So it is this quest that we have, which we call as sometimes Atma Vidya, so which we can call as spirituality, something which is beyond this mortal complex, mind, body, sense complex. So this is a quest, and this has been answered in multiple ways in multiple Upanishads. Algorithm is a certain quest by which we keep trying to increase the efficiency of the performance of a system which is physically known to us. And spirituality is a certain process by which we try to understand what is beyond this mind-body-sense complex, because this mind-body-sense complex cannot be simply treated as I. So what is this I? So this dehatariktaha atma. So this is a very interesting question which I can come to a little later. Sure, but with this I'll move on.
Yes, sure. By the way, Ramasubramaniam ji will leave at 4 o'clock, so I would like audience in participation in harassing him a little bit before he leaves. Hosur ji, how can you...
Let me just tell you,
yes.
Since you said harassment, I'll just tell you this is a beautiful verse which all of us need to enjoy. So Kalidasa, as all of us know, was a great poet. And there is a nice episode. One poor Brahmana came to Kalidasa. So I don't have much to eat, etc. Can you kindly help me? Take me to the king and then get me some reward from him. So Kalidasa said, yes, I will do. So, but you have to act in a particular way. Then I will be able to get this done. So he said, okay. Then this fellow was taken. On the way, Kalidasa said, I will tell the king that this man will not speak much. He will only say a very short sentence, and that will be really profound. So I will tell you the sentence, okay? Tripida pariharostu. Understand? Tripida. So there are 3 kinds of pidas, okay? Daivika, Manushika, and so on. So this Tripida, Atma Pida, Adhyatma Pida. So we are hurt by ourselves, right? So I'm not able to be at peace with myself. So this is one pida. The other is external natural pida. The other is created by our own presidents and so on. So this is third kind of pida. He said tripida pariharostu. Okay. So then this person tried to memorize once he went to the Sabha, he acted so like a Moni kind of a thing. And then, so he said, introduced, he's a great person and so on. So he will just bless you. That fellow forgot. He said, Tripidastu dine dine. No, this Pida is what I was just the last part, that is what it is. Tripidastu dine dine. So Kalidasa came in rescue. He said, no, that is why I said he is a very profound person. Whatever he says will have inner meaning. I will explain to you. What is the Pida? Shayane Dara Pidastu. So when you are lying in the bed, may your wife, trouble you. Shayane Dara Pidastu. Shishu Pidastu Bhojane. Okay? So when you are eating, may the children come and disturb you. Sabhayam Vipra Pidastu. In an assembly, may there be trouble from the scholars. Okay? Tripidastu dine dine.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So we are talking about dharma, spirituality,
And
algorithms.
What does it mean to you, and how can you transfer that knowledge to the people in a very layman language?
Yeah. So first of all, let me say that we all said that dharma is something which is dharayati, which sustains what? Sustains ourselves and sustains the universe, everything. This is the procedure. Therefore, I would extrapolate it to say dharma is an algorithm. Algorithm is a procedure. So you write some things, achieve something. So what do you achieve? Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. You protect the dharma and it will protect you. So therefore, if you want protection, you protect the dharma. So there is a protection. So therefore, it's an algorithm. So there is a mixture of the two here. So dharma and algorithm are essentially one for the other. And then dharma has also other components. As I said, one thing is dharayati, who does it? Again, I mentioned to you, dharma also means Vishnu. And Vishnu protects you. Vishnu is the one who is the creator, who is the sustainer for this universe. So he created the universe, he sustains the universe. How do you know this? Brahma Sutra says this. Brahmadyasya ataha om. Om Janmadyasya ataha om. So Janma Adi Srishti Sthiti Laya Kirti Niyamana Jnana Jnana Bandha Moksha, everything comes from him. So therefore he is the sustainer. Therefore dharma also means Vishnu. And how do you know about Vishnu? You know it through Bhagavad Gita or all the Vedas. All the Vedas say, Vedaisha sarve ahameva vedyo vedantakrat veda videva chaham. This is what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. So all the Vedas talk about me. How do you understand the Vedas? Through Brahma Sutras. Okay. Now, what is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is Yoga Shastra. Entire Bhagavad Gita is Yoga Shastra. All 18 adhyayas are named as Yoga Shastra. Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama, Sankhya Yogo Nama, Karma Yogo Nama, Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nama, Bhakti Yogo Nama, Vibhuti Yogo Nama, so and so and so forth. So therefore, running through the Bhagavad Gita, you learn about the yogas. And what is yoga? Yoga karma kaushalam. Excellence in karma is yoga. Excellence in karma leads to protection. It supports you, it sustains you. And Krishna also said, Samatvam yoga uchyate. That means that you have to be balanced, equipoised. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. So you have to be equipoised in everything. So if you have that kind of a balance, then you will not be troubled at all. You will always be peaceful. Ultimately, that's what we want. We want to be peaceful. So therefore, dharma has all these connections. Dharma also means Vedas. Dharma with. Dharma also means Vedas. So therefore, there is a connection between Yoga Shastra, Dharma, Vishnu, sustenance, maintenance, everything. These are all connected. This is an algorithm. So Dharma is an algorithm for your sustenance. So, and then of course, then what is spirituality? Spirituality has the word spirit inside, right? And the spirit means what? In talk of English language, spirit is essence or the guiding principles, guidelines which will provide you. Spirit also means consciousness, something which is beyond observation. So therefore, the thing which covers all of this is spirituality. So what is the spirit of science? Discovering truths. What is the spirit of technology? Improve, innovate for the good of the people. What is the spirit of the constitution? Good governance, justice. So therefore you can extrapolate, the spirit actually encompasses whole life process. Therefore your entire life is a superposition of spirituality and adhyatma and the material knowledge, both the things. Their spirituality is a science. So if you look at Bhagavad Gita, which is a yoga shastra, which I said, it is all questions and answers. Arjuna is asking questions and Krishna is answering all of those. The question answers. Therefore, there is nothing as something which you assume. Krishna says at the end, you debate for yourself, ask the questions, answer, look at the answers and debate. Think about it. So therefore, it is a science. So yoga shastra, shastra means science, yoga is all this engaging with various aspects of this. Therefore, the entire Bhagavad Gita is a teacher for the dharma, and you follow that principles, then of course you will live a good life. You lead to internal development, automatically that leads to external development. So internal development maintains a certain kind of a principles so that you can develop better even in your external work. When you do your profession, whatever the profession is, whether it is a scientist or economist or engineer or medical scientist, whatever it is, so if you follow the principles, of course you will always excel. Yoga karma sa kaushalam. Therefore, karma is related to that, and dharma and karma cannot be separated. So good karma leads to punya, bad karma leads to papa. Therefore, you have all kinds of things which are there. And Krishna said that I am the protector. Ananyas chintayanto mam yajana parivasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. So you are my devotee, I will take care of you. Dharayati. Therefore, he is the one who is protecting, he is taking care of you. So dharma connects to him, dharma connects to your sustenance, dharma is to your protection, everything of that. So therefore, spirituality and dharma are nearly similar words. The spirituality is a superposition of both material knowledge and adhyatmic knowledge, which cannot be separated. Spirituality and science cannot be separated. So they are one and the same, they are two sides of the same coin. So therefore, we have to know whether we like it or not, we live it that way. Whether we like it or not, it happens automatically. Therefore, we have to think together and see that, okay, that leads to our internal development as well as external development, which leads to peace ultimately.
Awesome. Peace. You're going to get the peace here. Jeffrey G means peace only.
So hopefully I'll say something very peaceful. Yes, right.
I know. I had to look up for your meaning, somehow.
Yes.
And I found out that in German etymology, it means absolute peace that passeth all understanding.
That's right.
So you are.
That's correct.
So
Shanti.
Exactly, Shanti. Dr. Hosurji said that we want peace. Peaceful, right?
Yes.
There you are.
Yes, that's right. And so, where do we get peace? And so, the question was about spirituality, dharma, algorithm, and of course, I mean, I've had the privilege now of speaking after these two great speakers who've already really kind of established, I think, a lot of foundation for what we're talking about. I think the word spirituality very often we tend to connect it with the adhyatmic realm, right? With what in English we call the spiritual realm, right? Which is that which underlies, goes beyond, but of which the material is also a manifestation, right? They are ultimately one and the same, but we tend to think of these because of the state of our consciousness. We tend to think of these two things as separate. And so there's this sense of separation, of disconnection from the adhyatmic realm, right, from the true self. So spirituality, as I see it, at least today, and I see this in my students, I see this in our larger society, it's the search for that. Because there's a sense that it has been lost. It's in fact not been lost, it's always been there. But we're not looking in the right direction very often. And so spirituality is the quest for that peace. And the way to it, again, has not really been lost. It's just that we tend to be looking in the wrong direction. But as you can tell from the speakers we've already had, the knowledge is there. The knowledge is available. It's been there in the great texts and the living teachings of the Hindu tradition right up to the present day, and the other Dharma traditions as well. When I think of spirituality, the verse that comes to my mind is from Yoga Sutra, very famous, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, right? That the yoga, meaning the spiritual discipline, consists of the calming of the modifications or the waves of the mind, the waves of awareness. And so we live in this realm that's, as we experience it, conditioned by the waves of the mind. Right? If we visualize mind, I don't mean the brain, I mean the mind, I mean our center of consciousness. If we visualize it as a lake, as a body of water, the waves on the surface, those are our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our sanskars, these things that we're caught up in and that we identify with, including the body itself. And these are constantly moving, constantly changing. If you look at a body of water that is covered with waves, maybe it's a windy day, right? The waves are choppy. All you can see are the waves. But if you look at this body of water when it is calm, right? The calming of the waves of the mind, right? When you see that the surface is smooth like glass, you notice two things. First, a calm body of water reflects the environment around it accurately, right? Think of a lake surrounded by trees and mountains, and if the water is very calm, you see another whole set of trees and mountains facing the other direction. It is the reflection of what is there. Also, you go up to a body of water that's very calm, you can see beneath the surface. You can see fish swimming around. You can see the plants and the pebbles on the bottom. Same with the mind. When the mind is calm, when the mind is clear, there's this other great term that the Bhagavad Gita uses a lot, the sthita pragya, right? A steady mind. When the mind is calm, steady, it accurately reflects the world around us. Right? We are no longer projecting our fears and desires onto our environment. We are seeing things as they truly are. And when the mind is calm, we can see within. Right? And this is the part that I think is the most important, that we can connect with that Atman, with that true self that is beyond the body-mind. And when we calm and clear those waves, it becomes transparent, and then we experience that Atman. And I think it's really essential that we do this. And in fact, it's really essential to life. Of course, I'm not a scientist of the human body, but one thing I've read is that if you go without sleep for a very long period of time, very, very quickly will die, right? The body starts to deteriorate. And why is sleep so essential? I think one of the reasons is that in that state, we come very close to this self, right? We get into that state of dreamless sleep that the Mandukya Upanishad describes. We are very, very near then to that Atman. We have to draw near to it regularly or we are destroyed. And through sleep, of course, happens involuntarily, through a systematic process of meditative practice, right? Through dhyana. We are able to have this experience with our full conscious awareness. And it enriches our lives enormously, even just a few minutes a day. And so this is something that I promote a lot, is a daily practice of meditation. I have a very good friend who's from the Buddhist tradition, Bhante Sujata. He's a Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka and lived in the US for many years. He's come and spoken to my students a few times. He says even 5 minutes a day of sitting quietly, calmly, quieting the mind, it does wonderful things. It helps us have that kind of success, both inwardly and outwardly, that Ramakrishnaji was describing. Right? We all bear within us an infinite source of energy, but we're all too often not looking at that. We're looking outside. We're looking elsewhere for our happiness, but we're carrying infinite bliss within us all the time. And one of my favorite music artists and big inspirations, George Harrison, in one of his songs, he says, "We are beggars in a gold mine." We're like beggars in a gold mine. We're surrounded by infinite bliss, right? Anantaram Satchidanandam, right? The infinite bliss, infinite being, infinite awareness is within each and every one of us. We need to calm the mind, calm the waves of the mind, and engage with that. Dharma, life properly lived, as Ramakrishnaji was saying, the life in harmony with the order of the universe is conducive to this. And this, of course, is the aim of spirituality. And yes, the algorithm, I like that positive use of algorithm. Right? When I came here, I was thinking of algorithms as something problematic. But yes, Dharma is the algorithm of the universe. And if we attune ourselves to that, then these other algorithms won't distract us so much.
It's ground wonderful. Excellent. Sharda ji, pour some wisdom now.
See, I'm going, there is a lot of wisdom, a lot of talks about dharma, definitions. I'm going to bring this perspective, how spirituality in the context of management, how do you bring that? And why is it important? It's important because we spend so many times during the day at the workplace, so, spirituality in the management context becomes relevant. So, spirituality is really a multifaceted, multi-layered concept. If you want to look at it from a scholarly perspective, it has multiple layers, multiple facets as well. The same holds for dharma. What have I done? I have looked at different types of definitions coming from religious practices, because what happens if you come with spirituality in a management context, people would say like, oh, I don't want to do anything with religiousness, or it's too vague, too mystical, So if you want to really let it be grounded in the management practices, you have to define it properly, so that even those people who don't know the Vedas, can connect to it. So I looked at spirituality at a more aggregate level. So with my team, we defined spirituality as, you can say, we came up with a schema where we say it's not definitely this is it, but these are the main aspects that you have to incorporate when you want to talk about spirituality. And so our definition schema is, if we talk about spirituality, it is a quality of any entity. So a quality means that we can develop it. Any entity means it can be an individual, it can be a group level, it can be at the organizational level, country level, whatever, to connect. And it's not just connecting here and there, but it's connecting between the perceived existence and the beyond perceived existence. So there I bring in that space that people have felt also when they have mystical experiences. People who want to connect to a higher being, God, I bring them all in that definition schema. So I think one of the things I'm very proud of is this continuum of knowledge, which I use for defining spirituality. And why a continuum? Because it ends with the horizon towards infinity. So we say that in that connection, you connect between the known realms, where we as scientists would look at logical reasoning, and we connect to the unknown realms. And the unknown realms are things that we feel, we experience in everyday life. But when we come to the workplace, we oftentimes forget it, or we say like that's not relevant. So in my K model, I call it a K model, it's a K continuum. I say if you want to operationalize it in a way that people can use it, let's create 4 boxes. And the first box, I call it a K1. And the K1 is that knowledge which is really rational reasoning. And the K2 is then that knowledge which we don't know yet, but we can explore using the same architecture, same logical reasoning. And then we come to the K3, which is the experiential part. And you can say the K3 is actually the bridge between all these known knowledge and then going deeper to the unknown. And the unknown is this humble attitude towards reality, where we say there are so many things we don't know, and maybe we will never know. So this K4 is that realm where we say it's beyond the perceived existence, so beyond, and it helps us if I operationalize it in these 4 boxes. And Shekharji said to me, you should not talk too much in abstract conceptual level, maybe explain it in a layman term. So I'm going to explain my K model in a layman term. And that's like the K1 is, you know the input, you know the process, you know the output. Like for me, I was invited to come here, so I know the input was I wanted to come, so I have to buy a ticket. The process, I have to get to a plane, and I reach USA. Okay, that was simple. The K2 was Houston, this part I don't know. So there was an unknown, but I can use the same infrastructure to come here, buy a ticket, go in a plane, and reach here. That's K2. And the K3 is that, and the K3 and 4, here we bring the deeper aspects of ourself, where I would say the K3 is the self, the way we perceive ourself, the way we perceive our ambitions and aspirations, whatever we have. So you know only the input, what you think is your aim. And K4, it's also you know only the input, but the input is not that reachable from a personal touch perspective. It's really beyond. So that beyond aspect, I think, I believe everyone must have experienced things that you can't explain, and it's happening. So to make it more easier, I would then say it's, you know, you have to deal with the doing part, you have to deal with the being part, and give space to that happening part, because we can't predict everything. And the role of algorithms is in the K1 and K2. They might try to connect to the experiential level, which is being done, of course, but not in the core of the experience. Because if you are in a meditative practice, you can't predict the same meditation experience you will have again and again. Because that's really that unknown deeper aspects of life where you have to connect. So it's not just connecting to you and me when we talk about spirituality. It's really the connection between all those parts that we know, but acknowledging that it's the unknown which gives us the creativity. We have to tap into that unknown. And when we bring in then dharma also have these different layers. In practical term, you can say there is this individual level, there is the social level, there is this cosmic level. So at the individual level, you can say it's a way of life that you choose. One of the participants yesterday asked, what is my swadharma? I said, you know, these days we think we have to solve all big questions, all big problems. Everyone has to do that. I think it's important to think about your sandharb. What is the adopted context that you have control over? What is it that you can do? And if you look at it, then you can say, okay, then my swadharma is to understand that context, those who are involved in that context, all these stakeholders, they might have different perspectives. Can I understand their perspectives? Because a lot of polarization is happening in our universities, in organizations, in countries. So we have become, we don't want to listen to other perspectives. But this is where dharma helps us, because if you say in the individual level, it's understanding what is important for you, but you are not living in isolation. So you have to connect to the other realm, which is the social realm. And there, so in the individual is a way of living where you can design whatever you want for your life. At the social realm, you have to behave in a way that there is, of course, in different contexts, a social order. And in that social order is that respect for the other person's view is very important. You don't have to agree, but you at least want to know, because these days in universities a lot is happening, a lot of students protest, so we agree to disagree. This is one of the phrases we use, that at least you open up and look at the other people's perspectives. And then this governance aspect. So if you are part of a system, of course you have to abide to what you have agreed with each other. So you can say that is also comparable with the cosmic order. So dharma helps us to think and rethink constantly, what is it that I have to do, what is it that I can influence, And it gives a lot of space for exploring yourself, but also exploring in the connection with others.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. For me, from all these great people, I learned something just now, so I'm going to make it up now. For me, dharma, spirituality and algorithm is where I am standing right now, suffering, right? And now spirituality is, these people are telling spirituality is something that is so good. So that's the goal over there. That's the goalpost that I have. From here, sufferer is going to go there, and the route is dharma. The road is dharma to reach to spirituality from where I am right now. So this is how I define these three things. So okay. Now, shall I go for a joke and then have a heavy duty answer from him? Actually, I am going to ask something about Gödel's incompleteness theorem. So mathematics, which has a role from his perspective, mathematician's perspective, how this whole thing figure it. So maths has a lot of good answers. I want him to tell us in very layman language. So before that, I'll get a joke. How many people have in their washing machine and the dryer the socks? One of the sock gets lost. So you see that? So I have this challenge, and I have like hundreds of them sitting there, one each. And where the hell other fellow goes, I don't know. So how many people guess where the other fellows go? Where do the white ones go? The white socks. Where do they go? the colored one go to the black hole. This one go to the Milky Way. So all the Milky Way you see is because of the white sock that have gone up there. Okay. So Dada, I'm going to ask you a question now, which is specific to you, but this is not for everybody. Just specific because you have to leave and I have to ask a question. So before you leave, I'll ask you that. So Gödel's incomplete theorem in mathematics, he proved that any sufficiently complex formal systems contains traits that cannot be proved within that system. However great algorithm is, there is something they cannot ask, who is this asking the question, right? That's how it is. That complex, that cannot be proved within that system. The system cannot fully account for itself. To see its own incompleteness, you must step outside the system. Dada, can you explain this?
Okay, I will not get into Gödel thing. I will get into Kenopanishad.
Yes, exactly.
In fact, very interesting question that has been posed in the Upanishad is Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha Kena pranah prathamah praiti yuktaha Keneshitam vachamimam vadanti chakshushrotram kavudevo yunakti. I am just trying to fit it into the kind of context in which he was saying. The question that is being posed by the inquirer is, I want to do something, but I am unable to do something. My mind is going somewhere else. What is it that is prompting my mind to go into some other direction in spite of the prompt that I say you go here? Kena ishitam is the question. So impelled by whom is the mind going into some direction? In fact, he was just saying yogas chitta vritti nirodhaha. So that is the ultimate aim, but how do I achieve it? So keneshitam patati preshitam manaha. Kena pranaha. There is a certain life energy. So what makes us inhale, exhale, etc. This is a continuous process that is continuously happening irrespective of my awareness of it. And when a certain impulse comes, the thoughts simply flow out of our own mind, and then it turns into the words, and a certain vibration is created, and it turns into sukti. How does it happen? Keneshitam vachamimam vadanti chakshushrotram kavudevo yunakti. So yunakti means associates, drives. So this is the question that is being raised by the Upanishad, and in trying to answer this question, so it tries to figure out a certain entity which is beyond mind, body, sense complex. Now, so in the Gödel's theorem, so if we are associating ourselves only to this mind, body, sense complex, we will not be able to get an answer to this. Okay, this is all I wanted to connect with that. At that surface level, I am not getting into mathematics, but I will just get into this Yoga Sutra itself. All of us have this problem of what prevents me. In fact, there's a beautiful saying in Mahabharata. It says, Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, janamya dharmam nachame nivrittihi, kenapi devena hridisthitena yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi. So I know dharma, but I am not engaging myself with that. Janamya dharmam, I know what is not dharma, but somehow I am being drawn towards it. Nachame nivrittihi. Now, what is preventing us from getting into the path of dharma at a larger level, at the individual level? So yesterday I was trying to tell you that we do not want to hurt others, but somehow, either by thought process or by words or by action, we do hurt. So now the question is, there is a certain antaraya. In fact, Yoga Sutra brilliantly brings out this antaraya. So chittavritti nirodha, nirodha is the to be achieved, and by nirodha tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam, you get back to your own self, which is actually sukharupa. That is what it says. I am atma sukharupaha nityaha, etc. This is what the Upanishad says. But you will not be able to get into this domain and try to even have a glimpse of it unless you jump out of this domain. This is all I wanted to tell you. So within this framework, if you are sitting, it is not possible. It requires a different line of thinking. So a line of thinking has been presented to us by ancient rishis today morning. The talk yesterday, somebody was impressed about this Yoga Sutra and everybody has to read Yoga Sutra, etc., was repeatedly said. So great psychology, brilliantly analyzed 3,000, 5,000 years ago. He was also mentioning about that. Now, this Yoga Sutra presents 9 entities which are antarayas. If we understand, then there are solutions as to how you can get rid of this antaraya has also been presented. I will just present to you the sutra just to induce some interest into that subject. Antaraya, essentially, in fact, if you have heard this, Ganesha Pancharatta Stotram, Antaraya Krintanam, you would have heard this. Antaraya means some obstacle. Krintanam means one who severes. This is how Ganesha is described. This Antaraya, Vyadhisthana Samshaya Pramada Alasya Avirati Bhranti Darshana Alabdha Bhumikatva Anavasthidatvani Chitta Vikshepaha Te Antaraya. Whether it is spirituality, whether it is dharma, these are the antaraya, or even yourself excelling in any other subject, these are the antarayas which we need to understand. So Vyadhihi and Adhihi, these are 2 terms that we need to understand. Vyadhi has to do with physical ailment. Adhihi has to do with mental problem. Okay? It is Adhihi which actually controls Vyadhi in many times. In fact, there is a beautiful verse. Chittayatam dhatubaddham shariram. Shariram means this physical body. Whichever way, whether it is chemical analysis or physical analysis, it is just a conglomeration, ensemble of trillions and trillions of atoms, molecules. Dhatubaddham shariram. The sharira is a bundle of something. And it says Chittayatam. It is completely governed by this. The functioning of this Dhatubaddha Sharira is through Chitta. Chittayatam Dhatubaddham Shariram Chitte Nashte Dhatavoyanti Nasham. See, Chitte Nashte, if we lose control over this organ, Dhatavoyanti nasham. They also get deteriorated. Tasmat chittam yatnato rakshaniyam. Therefore, it is essential that you try to manage the functioning of this instrument which governs the functioning of the entire body. Swasthe chitte buddhaya sambhavanti. So in a clean mind, if we have, as he was just saying, Nirmala. So if we have that, buddhaya sambhavanti, the right thoughts come. Buddhayaha sambhavanti. So it is the right thought that has to come at the right moment for us to take a decision, not to get into dilemma, not to get into anxiety, not to get into fear, etc., etc. It is all this has to be controlled. And there are 9 obstacles which have been brilliantly designed. If I can extend, I will do. Otherwise, I can go next round. I have no issues.
Okay, we will go on the next round.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was given to understand we have 1 hour left. Is that right? 30 minutes? 90 minutes. Okay. So you can ask questions if you have. You can raise your hand and ask questions to anybody right now. We'll give you 10 minutes to figure it out, right? Answer and question both. So you have to very, very tight with the question.
So, Namaste. So here my question is like, can we give mine?
Yeah. Take this.
Namaste ji. My question is like, what are the dharma, everything we are following to achieve the 4 purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So when I thinking about these 4, like in my childhood, I think dharma means like, it's a kind of, in your stage, like you can achieve the dharma, then you can go for the artha, then kama, moksha. But now what I'm realizing is it's not like step-by-step process. You have to get your dharma. You have to know what's your dharma first. Then you can, using the dharma, you have to carry forward the dharma in your life and you like earn the artha, like the things. And using those dharma and artha, you can fulfill your kamas, like desires. Then you can attain the moksha. So here I am thinking like how one get his swadharma. Like I'm thinking about only my perspective. For example, if I am the person, I have to know what is my swadharma. Like in Arjuna asked, like your swadharma is you have to fight with enemies and you are a kshatriya so that you can fight. So in this world, like how one can figure out what is his swadharma so that he will get one point what he can do, then he can serve the society. If no one knows what is swadharma, then how he will excel in his life and serve for the society. So how I can get those kind of things. Yeah.
Kosur ji, आप बताइए.
Swadharma, I mean, according to the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna defined 4 varnas. Chaturvarnam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. This is not by birth. It is by the gunas and the karmas and the professions you do. So therefore you develop, as you develop, intrinsically you start getting attracted towards a particular kind of an activity, and so long as it doesn't harm others, that is Vihita Dharma. If it harms others, then it is not Vihita Dharma. So therefore you will automatically realize yourself that nobody can tell you that. You will find out that yourself. You will excel in that automatically. So therefore if you follow that internal conscience, you will realize that automatically. And then of course you have to keep doing that. And then of course you should not expect phala on that one. Phala is not in your control. Karmanne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Ma karma phala heturbhu mate sangostva karmani. So you can do the karma because this is all defined in the Vedas. You can do what is the reserve phala for a particular karma. This is defined, all right. But until it is done properly with diligence, and you will not be able to achieve that. Therefore it is not in your control. So that does not mean that you should not do karma. Akarmani, mate sangostu akarmani. You have to keep doing your karma. The phala will come. Therefore, you will internally develop that attitude as you grow. So nobody else can tell you that.
Thank you. If you can add something.
Certainly, yeah. This is beautifully said, and this term swadharma is a wonderful term because it's connected, of course, with dharma. We're moving from the universal now to the individual person, And this question also manifests in other ways and in other societies. And as a professor, I find the way it most often manifests with my students is with the question, what should I do with my life, right? What job should I follow? What occupation? And I, following the principles of the Gita, I would say that there are activities which have to satisfy two criteria. First, you have to excel at them, right? If you're trying to be a nuclear physicist, but you're no good at math, that's not your swadharma. You're trying to do the wrong thing. If you're trying to play the piano and you can't differentiate between the black keys and the white keys, that's not your swadharma. So you have to be good at it, and it also has to bring you joy.
Yeah,
and when you find that activity that you excel at, but that doing it also gives you joy, that it does not feel like work, that it is something that when you're doing it, you feel more your true authentic self than at any other time, then you found your swadharma. And both of those criteria are important. We can be very good at something, but not enjoy it. And then if we dedicate our lives to that, we might amass a large amount of wealth, but come to a certain stage and realize we're desperately unhappy. And then the term for that in our society is the midlife crisis, right? You want to avoid the midlife crisis. Find something that gives you joy. And then, yes, you also have to excel at it. There are things that we enjoy, but maybe we're not very good at them. That's not our swadharma, right? So when we find those, we fulfill those two criteria, what we've done is we have found the activity for which our mind-body complex is well suited, right? We come into this life with a bundle of sanskars that we've generated countless lifetimes before, and those tendencies have made us well suited toward this activity or this activity. And I think there's actually a third criterion, which in one sense is even more important than the other two. Does this serve all beings, right? Does this serve not only humanity, but the whole world? Are we contributing something by doing this activity? Okay. And we might be building technologies that help people live longer, better, happier lives. We might just be bringing music into the world that brings joy and inspiration. But whatever it is, we are doing that thing that gives us joy, that we are exceptionally good at, and that contributes to everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like to add 1 minute?
1 minute,
Yes.
okay. No, I wonder who here in the audience know his or her swadharma? Please. Okay, see. Because this is a young man and he's struggling with this question. I just want to say that people take their whole life to figure out what is their swadharma. So that is what I wanted to add here.
Okay, good. Okay. Dada, you'd like to add? 1 minute.
This swadharma can be fighting, swadharma can be loving, depending upon the context. So Krishna directed Arjuna, swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. He said this. Tasmad yudhyasva bharata, he said. So when we uphold ahimsa, how can Krishna try to direct him to kill thousands of people? That is swadharma. Now, what decides this dharma at a given point of time? Swa means Atma. Atmano dharmaha. So, Atmano dharmaha, whether it is mother or it is some director, it is for rewarding or for punishing. Depending upon the act, we need to decide. So, depending on the context, the swadharma keeps changing. Atmano dharma, what is to be executed at a given point of time is what we need to decide. So, these other aspects of swadharma we need to ignore. So, as he was just saying, jatya, so etc., these are all different kinds of things. So, this atmano dharmaha swadharmaha. So, that cannot be once and for all given for any individual. Therefore, we just try to train our mind so that it becomes Shuddha. Avidya, karma, klesha, vasana, chitra. So that is where this confusion arises. So styanam, samshaya, these are all antarayas which I was trying to tell you. Styanam means chittasya akarmanyata. So the mind is not able to function to take a decision. This state is called styanam. So it is in a dilemma. This is called samshaya. So that's where we don't understand what should we do. So dharma. So a clear mind can resolve without any difficulty at a given time. But how do you bring this clarity to the mind? This is a certain process. That's what Yoga Sutra says, tapasvadhyaya ishvara pranidhanani, and so on. It's a beautiful process that has been described, which will help you reach that state so that you have a clear mind.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
In the previous question, when there was discussion, you mentioned about the 9 obstacles that controls the mind. Can you please take a few minutes to clarify that?
Okay. I will tell you.
Start writing.
Okay. So I want to do some work. So let us say Swadharma. But you have a severe migraine, you are not able to do. This is an obstacle. You want to go to yoga class, you are hurt somewhere, so you are not able to do. This is simple. At a physical level, this is one antaraya. Antaraya at the physical level. So the next antaraya is styanam. Styanam means one is unable to take a certain decision at any point of time. One is not able to organize what is to be done. So if a task has to be executed, then this, etc. has to be decided by us. If we are not able to do that, then this is another kind of a antaraya which prevents us from doing what we want to do. Then samshaya, this happens. So should I do this? Should I do that? So this many of us face. This is what we call as dilemma. So this is Arjuna's problem, was also this samshaya. It was Krishna who helped him get away from the samshaya. Should I kill my relatives? Should I not do that? So this is a samshaya. This is also an antaraya in trying to progress where we need to do. Pramada is a certain mistaken notion. See, pramadaha, anavadhanata, this is what they say. So suppose we need to do, so for instance, suppose you have to do yoga. So for you to achieve this state where your mind is tranquil, you need to practice this whole sadhana pada is there. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, I don't do any of them. So this is pramada. I want to achieve something, but I will not do whatever that leads me to achieve that. This is pramada. Sadhaneshu. Vyadhi, sthana, samshaya, pramada. Then alasya is a certain state. All of us know. Okay. So this alasya is, see, alasya is beautifully defined. See, we feel very heavy. Heavy at the body, heavy at the mind. So इसको उठने के लिए मन नहीं आता है. So this is alasya. Okay, normally we say laziness, but it has to do both physical and mental aspect. Okay. So vyadhi, sthana, samshaya, pramada, alasya. The other problem is avirati. So in fact, the entire talk today morning was avirati. Avirati means restlessness. So restlessness in the sense of, see, in fact, beautiful verse is there. Vayamiha paritushtaha valkalais tvam dukulaihi samaiha paritosho nirvishesho visheshaha satu bhavati daridraha yasya trishna vishala manasicha paritushte korthavan ko daridraha. It essentially says avirati is whatever we get, we want to get one. See, in fact, I read a book. Don't aim for X, aim for 10X. दिमाग को खराब कर देते हैं. Why you have 10x, 1000x, 10 to the power of nx? So this is what is Trishna, as he said. That is why, see, Magridhah kasyas vidhanam. The spirituality, in fact, this says, in the age of algorithm. When was algorithm not there? आप बताइए, आप रसम करना है, पोंगल करना है, जो भी करना है, there is always a certain algorithm. So this algorithm has always been there. In the age of algorithm means, so algorithm has always been there. So ये बता रहे थे धर्म भी algorithm है. Yes, but this algorithm binds us. The other algorithm relieves us. Yes. Okay? The algorithm which has been laid down in our scriptures relieves us, whereas these algorithms try to bind us. He was just saying, so we are supposed to design an algorithm that will catch hold of our attention and drag you and never release you. So this is this algorithm is algorithm. ये चाबी तो एक ही है, ऐसा करेंगे तो बंधन हो जाता है, ऐसा करेंगे तो खोलेगा. Anyway, so this vyadhi, sthana, samshaya, pramada, alasya, avirati. This is what I want to say. Avirati is so unable to satisfy ourselves that I have enough. That attitude of enough not being there. So this says, there is a poet who says, we are happy with the bar garments just to hide our organs. You are happy only with the high quality silk. But samaiha paritoshaha. Okay, that we have covered our body is same, right? Nirvishesho visheshaha. Satu bhavati daridraha. See, that fellow should be declared as daridra. Okay? Poor person. Yasya trishna vishala. One whose greed is beyond bounds. See, Satu bhavati daridraha yasya trishna vishala manasicha paritushte korthavan ko daridraha. Once you are happy, satisfied within yourself, so who is a poor man and who is a rich man? Anyway, so this avirati is a major problem, antaraya. Okay? Vyadhi, sthana, samshaya, pramada, alasya, avirati. Bhranti darishana is an illusion. So knowing the right to be wrong and wrong to be right, as most of us do in the youthful stage. Okay? Bhranti darishana alabdha bhumikatvam means unable to stay in a particular state. Understand? There are various bhumis that we need to understand. At various stages, as he was saying, not able to reach any state and be with. Okay? This is alabdha bhumikatvam. And even if you are able to reach that state, anavasthitatvam. Okay? So unable to stay in that for some time. This is another kind of a problem. These are the various obstacles which we need to overcome. And for anybody to achieve anything, okay, so this is how is it achieved? All those have been nicely stated.
Thank you. Yeah, you can keep it.
Yes.
Like we have been discussing a lot of. Oh, you have a question?
Alok Chaturvedi.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you. I have a more related question. So, ever since Chalmers came up with his concept of heart problem of consciousness, and there's a lot of work going on which says, we have objective measures through neuroscience, what part of our brain lights up for different stimuli. But what generates that subjective experience, which is something, from material science, material-based science to our consciousness-based science. So there is this gap. So can spirituality or something can bridge that gap? Because now all the psychologists are saying, there is a problem, and that gap between the material view of consciousness versus our subjective consciousness definition through Upanishads. So, just going back to the Upanishadic verse that, what is the eye of the eye and what is the nose of the nose and etc. So can you enlighten, put some lights on that?
Yeah. So this is something which I wanted to help. See, this Upanishadic statement has always been test, and different Upanishads present it through different words. If you take Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, it will say Sadeva Somedam Agre Asit. Agre means without, when this manifest universe was not there, there was only Sat. Sat is existence. Now, other Upanishad will say Atmi Vedam Agre Asit. Now, Atma, I always feel that I, that notion of I. Now, we will be able to relate this and that, but the thing is, as we understand the evolution of the universe in some perspective, even from the physical perspective, so there is a certain thing which makes us feel this I. Whereas this awareness is not to be found in certain other entities as we understand. All of them are basically a conglomeration of certain pieces bound together. And in the same individual, so as you were trying to say, so the perspective also completely varies. So you have a certain perspective about, in fact, let me just tell you, I valued something, so I was so envious of my neighbor when I was a teenager, that his father gets him, I mean I'm talking about 50 years back, his father gets him for 75 rupees cracker. So my father will get me only 10 rupees. So this, say, I'm unable to have it, a craving for that. So now even if somebody gives me, I say, hey, please don't. So the craving that we have for something and the craving that we get lost. So this change happens. So same thing, we do this. Now what is it that goes beyond this is something which we may not be able to capture. That there is something which is beyond this is what Upanishad presents, and it presents in multiple ways. So one element is Sat, the other is Chit, the other is Ananda. So these three aspects have to be accepted to that entity whichever we are referring to. So the Sat cannot be ignored because all these things as we understand today came out from something, and therefore Sat aspect has to be accepted to that. And Chit aspect, because Atma we have a feel, so Chit aspect also has to be associated with that. And when the mind is completely calm and we are in the sleep state, this Ananda aspect also comes. So what gave us the Ananda? Sukham Swapsam. So these three aspects have to be necessarily associated with that. And in fact more deeply, so we just get into, so whether should we ascribe something or not ascribe something, this is from Advaitic perspective. There are a lot of discussions that go on. But anyway, so this entity is an abstract entity, and an inquiry into that entity lightens up certain things at a given point of time. When it happens, how it happens, etc., we don't know. But we are trying to present a certain process by which this can be done, and this has been achieved by people, and those who have achieved have tried to share that. And there are many means, many means. Even if you just take Yoga Sutra, they don't say one. So this appeals to you, this appeals to you, this appeals to you, this appeals to you. And what makes something appeal to you, something work for you, has to do with the vasana. That also we need to accept. Because for some people, at the age of 4, they are able to do all ragas. After 40 years, I will not be able to do. Right? So there are certain things which flare up. And this is something which we have to go back to vasana. In spite of being born, so in a certain lineage, so he will go in wrong way. So wrong fellows can get into right way. This has nothing to do with DNA. The same twins born out of the same DNA have completely variable things. That is where we need to resolve to other domains which is completely abstract.
Thank you. The question that you asked was supposed to be the answer to like an algorithmist. The one who are too attached to algorithm, they just feed in data, output. There is no pause, right? To get the answer, you have to get into the pause, which means between the inhalation and the exhalation, a pause between that. Or to briefly describe how Paramahansa Ramakrishna Paramahansa Devji said, once related a very good story. A salt doll wanted to find the depth of the ocean. And we are still looking for that doll. We have to get completely dissolved.
लाली देखन मैं गया मैं भी हो गया लाल.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's what it is. So algorithmist and spiritualist, that's the major difference. Zero data, zero parameters, infinite intelligence is what spirituality is. Whereas algorithm, the way people are thinking of, hoping that if we put as much data from Mars and other Milky Ways and other multiverse, then we'll become intelligent. Still be artificial only. You got it? So all of them has already mentioned about meditation and going inward. Inward is the only place where I think I am blessed that way, because neuroscientists are blessed because they are objective scientists, at the same time they can go subjective. And they figure out, as you said, which part of the brain works. And by the way, default mode network.
No, you can say which part works, but why it works can you say?
Exactly. So yes, go for it. Yeah.
Namaskaram ji, my name is Rohit. This question is regarding the starting points of everybody's lives, the prarabdha karma. When the starting itself is completely different for every single human being, how can we attribute at certain destination, certain qualification, certain affluent state of being as a successful life? Or like, when do we know when to stop and where to stop? Can you please throw some light, especially for the youngsters these days? Thank you.
See, I'll explain to you what this prarabdha means. We have to necessarily accept something called vasana. So there is a nice verse, Vitarati guruhu prajñe vidyam yathaiva tatha jade. So I teach a class of 20 students. I don't make any distinction. But the way they get what is being taught is very, very different. Right? What makes this difference? So you can say that this, that, etc., etc. But we may have to necessarily at a given point of time attribute certain thing which is inherent in that person. So inherent, when we say inherent from when? So this is what we call as vasana, that he has been carried. Okay, so that is what we just go to. Whether you take Yoga Sutra, whether you take Vedanta, whether you take Mimamsa. So even in modern science, at some stage we may have to just say that it is not purely decided by the environment. They grow in the same environment, they are born out of the same parents, but execute completely different characteristics. So there is something which we go beyond. Okay, and this experiences that we have in this world, okay, experiences that we have in this world by inherence. All of us see the same event, but reactions are very different. Right? So this experiences that we have bhoga, that bhoga is dependent on the chitta vritti. So the state of the mind makes you experience something. Right? So why is this chitta vritti that is happening? This is what you attribute to prarabdha. You have carried something. Prarabdha means which has begun. Okay? So that which has begun to yield fruit. So there is a certain vasana which we call as abstract entity. That vasana plays a certain role in trying to create a certain chemical reaction in your mind which makes you see things in a particular way and which makes you experience in a particular way. Okay? So this is what we need to understand with respect to the word prarabdha. Okay. Karma is something which is a very important thing he was mentioning about karma, dharma, etc. So it's a very interesting abstract concept that has been thought over thousands of years, and they had concluded in a particular way. We do in science as well various theories, and this is something which is the bedrock of it. Okay, so okay.
Sorry. Next question you have. Can you wait? Anybody wait for the little later, or you have a very specific question to any of the panel members? Who do you want to ask the? Okay, later on. Can you just wait for a moment? Dr. Kak, you wanted some.
Yeah, well, since algorithms are sort of central to our discussions today, 3 years ago there was a paper published in Journal of AI and Consciousness, which argues using mathematics and quantum mechanics that computers or algorithmic systems would never be conscious, not in 5 years, 10 years, or 1,000 years. So computers would never be conscious. And of course that raises many questions, what is the epistemology related to knowledge? What is the ontology of the universe? And it opens up a whole new rabbit hole. But it tells us that clearly there is a separation between what computers can do and what our intuition tells us, and it sort of informs a lot of discussions related to AI.
Thank you. Do you have something to add, both of you?
Please go ahead.
If you remember Erwin Schrödinger, the founder of quantum mechanics, Schrödinger equation, everybody knows, he said consciousness is fundamental. You can never realize it by any material world. So therefore it is a different domain altogether. I suppose that answers your question.
Para, it's para.
Yeah.
Not apara. Materiality is apara.
Yeah.
This is para.
Yes, that's correct.
Transcendent.
Yes.
Transcendent.
Yeah.
I just wanted to reaffirm that. Thank you for saying that. And this actually connects with this gentleman's earlier question too about neuroscience. And I think the materialistic approach is simply wrong. If we work with the assumption that what is fundamental, right, what is para, right, is dead matter, something that is intrinsically unconscious, then the question of consciousness emerges. Where does this come from? But if we start from the perspective of consciousness, the emergence of a material world is not a problem at all, because we all have dreams, right? We all have these experiences of phenomena. And if we think of consciousness as fundamental, we can see all these as projections of consciousness. And so I think with all respect to my neuroscientist friends, they're going at this the wrong way when it comes to the ontological question. I mean, they can tell you which part of your brain, if they stimulate it, will make you smell popcorn. But why is there consciousness? This is the whole point of the hard problem. It's not just a matter of doing more research on the brain and suddenly we'll come across it. It's based on a mistaken philosophical assumption. The Upanishadic assumption is the fundamental nature of consciousness. If we start with consciousness, everything else follows. And I think this is also a very important thing for us to understand, because the materialistic model, I think, is at the heart of a lot of the suffering in our world today. That we are coming at these things in a way that separates our subjective experience artificially into subjective, objective, values, facts, and so on. These things are all integrated in that primordial state, the Satchitananda state. And in terms of whether a computer could ever be conscious, my favorite answer to this was given actually by my Diksha Guru, Swami Tyagananda Maharaj. I had the opportunity to be part of an event like this with him a few months ago. And we were talking about AI, and someone said, how would we know if an AI had become conscious? And he looked at the questioner and he said, how do I know that you're conscious? And he was right. With the consciousness we experience is one. And we call it I and mine, but it's consciousness. And we infer that other beings are conscious. But the questioner didn't have an answer to that one. So.
Sharda ji, I would like to ask you a question directly now.
Okay.
Since Jeffrey ji talked about materialism is not the way to do, or I think that material and spiritual are two sides of the same coin. Now, how do you synthesize a coherent outcome from this discussion?
Wow. So, I think what we have spent most of the time, we have spent answering the question, how do we do things? So we look at models, we build all kinds of prototypes to, facilitate the how question. Then we have slowly moved towards the question of why do we exist, and especially with all kinds of industrial revolutions, we started to think more and more about why do we exist, who am I. So in a gathering like this, we will always talk about who am I, why do we exist, so we come to the deeper realm of spirituality. But I think most important now is, if you talk about a coherent view, is that even if we answer those questions, are we happy? If you seek for that coherence, I think one question that needs to be asked is, where do we exist? Do we exist in the external world, which is giving us so much pressure, or do we exist internally? So there we need for the coherent view to bring dharma, because the dharma will help us to connect. I was talking about the connection, spirituality connecting the known and the unknown. So if we bring in dharma there, then we connect to that inner space. Because in the external space, there is a lot of encroachment happening and a lot of conflicts are happening. So then you are left with only the internal space, which can't be encroached by others. So that's the huge potential, I think, where we get a lot of answers, be it in entrepreneurship or just in daily lives. That unencroachable space, that is what we need to nourish. And these days we hear also a term like brain economy. Are you familiar with it, brain economy? Talking about brain health plus brain capacity, brain health relating to mental well-being. We have to invest a lot in mental well-being, and brain capacity is that, there is so much technology, we need to develop the skills to deal with that technology. Now in a gathering like this, I would say, let's think about dharma economy. And what is dharma economy then? Is actually maximizing that ability to cultivate that inner space that is unencroachable. And that is, I think, very important in these days, and that's bringing us to a coherent viewpoint of the world.
Dr. Hosso? Yes. Yeah. So just let me, to carry on with this question, material and spiritual are two faces of the same coin, but the coin is one. You cannot separate the faces. The two faces are different though. The faces are different, but the coin is the same. What it means is that you cannot live without the other. The two things go together always, but they're still separate. Material is material, consciousness is consciousness. You cannot mix the two, but you cannot live without each other. So that is the important message which goes there, that material and spirituality are two faces of the same coin. The two are not separable, but both are needed. Life is a superposition of both the things. We need material world as well as the internal conscious world, adhyatmic world, to be able to live. I mean, whether you like it or not, it happens. That is the way it is. The life goes on like that only. So whether we understand it or not understand it, that happens that way.
And now the question is defining the real challenges in the age of algorithm, and what practical solutions do you offer? Dr. Hosur, you start and then you give it to him and we'll do that.
I had
You have a question?
Yeah, I had a.
Wait a minute. One second.
Okay.
He has a question.
Okay. Namaste. My name is Vishal. And this is a question I'm aiming for Shardaji, but others can answer too. It's a simple, possibly naive question, and this relates to management and organizations, and individual and collective. And this question is simple. When an organization, think about a business, a corporate firm, consists of individuals who each have their consciousness, their own dharma. And I'll share why I'm asking this question in a second. Is the collective, the organizational consciousness, the less sum or larger than the parts of individual consciousness, or is it completely different? Does it even exist or not? I say this because there's an author called Yuval Noah Harari, who many of us know, wrote a book called Sapiens. He distinguishes between that organizations take its own life form. Do you see that in your work? What does it mean? I just wanted your comment on that front. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, in organizational context, we need to deal, or what we see is that companies, they have their own, you can say, collective, higher purpose. And if you look at all these individuals, it's not that if you count all these individual aspirations, then you come to that collective. It's always more. But what I've seen is that the founder really has an important kind of say, indirectly often. There are companies where people just become vegetarians because the founder is vegetarian. Because there is this, where it started. So the seed is very important in how people experience that higher power or a higher purpose to work for. One of the examples from 2011, I'm working with a company where we don't have managers. We have about 15,000 employees. It's a nursing company, and we have 950 teams. And these teams are self-managed. We have a back office of 50 persons helping them for whatever reason, for contracts and all of these. And we don't have managers. Because that space is given to these teams to become creative. So none of the teams are exactly the same. But that freedom is given, and with that freedom, there is also this responsibility is given to build something collective. But one thing binds them, because they are not, in one office, they are across the Netherlands. One thing binds them is that vision, that simplified vision that they say, we are nurses and we are here for the client. And that is just very simplified. The main focus of our work is how does it help the client. So every important decision, I have been in decision or processes where founder is talking about this approach, that approach, then nurses will ask them, but how does it help our client? So everyone kind of use this as a mantra to remind the other person. And that means that you can have your individual aspirations and individual way of working, but there is always this kind of order or something that binds them together. And this is how I've seen that it's very helpful.
Thank you. I have a great privilege of giving this memento to Sir. So, with lot of respect and love from Dharma Civilization Foundation, I am honored to give you this.
Thank you.
Actually, the reason I did that, he's just to leave now. His flight is waiting up there and he has to move. So is that okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
There was some question that side.
You have a. Who has a question?
There, over there. That
Yeah?
it's been very patient.
Okay.
Thank you, Ji.
You have come.
Hello. Really good discussions. Just to summarize in terms of how I'm thinking about it, social media algorithms kind of shape our attention externally. Kind of samskaras are shaping our attention internally. So both of them are narrowing perception, reinforcing patterns. So Silicon Valley is actually kind of industrializing avidya.
Yes, very well said.
So if the external algorithms are merely amplifying the same conditioning mechanisms that the yogic traditions have always described internally, they're really no different, except we're further caught in unconsciousness because there's less chance to have that gap, that time between response and stimulus. And the only answer then is training ourselves to have that gap. Meditation, dhyana, is there any other solution?
So, do you want to? I think that's an important part of the solution. Yes, and one of the effects of this narrowing of the gap that you mentioned is a perceived acceleration of time itself. Everything seems to change very fast, and we're all exhausted. And in fact, interestingly, this is what the scriptures say is the characteristic of the Kali Yuga, which we are in. And we're finding this is one of the mechanisms by which it is being brought about. But I don't think we're powerless in the face of this. And this is one of the things that's so wonderful about the Gita, right? It's a message of courage, it's a message of persistence and resilience. And so that consciousness, that higher reality that is our true nature, according to all the scriptures, all the teachings of the wise sages, that is always there. It's always available. And even just a few moments a day of communion with that, through meditation, through calming the waves of the mind, can give us greater resilience and also can help us to view some of what we're seeing and that is designed to create a reaction with this, to look at it a little more objectively in a little more distanced way. And on a practical level too, I would recommend something that sounds very banal, but to make as part of our sadhana a kind of fasting from our devices and setting aside time where we're not engaging with those algorithms and just being ourselves. I've recently rediscovered the joy of reading actual books, like printed on paper. These things still exist. And it's a different experience from reading on a screen. It's not designed to stimulate you, right, in that same way. And so I'm probably coming across in this conference as a technophobe, and I'm not. I think these are wonderful ways, in fact, to spread dharmic teachings. But what's happened, I think, is our tools have become more clever than we ourselves are. And we've come up with things that we are still in the process of learning how to use them and not become their instruments. Right? And so those are just a few thoughts on that.
Yeah, so for the expand on that one, actually Bhagavad Gita is best teacher for these things. And it goes step by step, it goes on developing your personality, how to develop, how to control your senses. I mean, he says if you don't do something, for example, Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayan Punsaha, Sangas Teshu Upajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha, Kamat Krodho Vijayate. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Stepwise, how much you engage with the world, you start getting interested in it, you start getting attached to it, and you want to possess it. If you can't possess it, you become angry. With angry, your viveka goes away, and if your viveka goes away, your thinking ability goes away. Buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. So therefore, so you have to systematically think for yourself. He gives a very systematic teaching. That's why I said Bhagavad Gita is a yoga shastra. That's why you see in the end, who is giving this teaching? Yogeshwara. Krishna is the Yogeshwara. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Stri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruva Netir Matir Mama. So Krishna is Yogeshwara. He is teaching you all through from 2nd chapter all the way to the 18th chapter how to systematically control your senses, control your desires. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanne atmana tushtaha. So therefore you must be happy within yourselves and you should give up viruddha karma, but you should do your karma, which is vihita karma you should do. And if you do that, then you do it for what? Loka sangraha, for the benefit of the society, not for yourself. Niswartha karma, nishkama karma. When you do all of these things, that actually enriches you, levels you, elevates you in your standard, you will always be peaceful. Okay, once you have this sort of a thing, then you will always be peaceful. So therefore, there will be no gap, there will be no confusion. In that's why Arjuna says at the end, Nashto moha smritir labdha. So after listening to all of this, my confusion is all gone. Now I am very clear. However, this Bhagavad Gita is actually a conversation between Arjuna and this one, but actually it's really for all of us. So Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta Yotsava. What is Dharma Kshetra? It is our body. Within our body, we are debating between Dharma and Adharma. Kurukshetra is Karma Bhumi. We are doing karma. The karma is what karma we should do, what karma we should not do. It's all in your body, in all your deha. So therefore, if you sow the seed of dharma, only dharma will come up. So the seed of good karma will come out. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita is the ultimate teacher for everything, any question one has. So you will have every answer for that.
Yes, thank you so much. So I'm told, sorry, I'm told that people are getting sleepy. Is that right? No, nobody is sleepy, right? How many people are feeling sleepy? No one, right? Are you?
I'm honest.
Okay, you do one thing. Come here. You always sleepy, is that right? Okay. You do this. You do this. Yeah, whosoever is feeling sleepy, please do this. Oh, yes, because this is good. All of you stand up and do this.
Earlier, we were told after 1 hour we should all get up and
do something, yeah. Yes?
May I comment on the point that's made?
Absolutely, absolutely. What's the name? I don't know the name. You can just say that. In the meantime, when he is asking this, answering the question.
There was this wonderful point made about the difference between avidya and vidya, right? So, Mundak Upanishad says that even the Vedas are avidya texts. So ultimately, it's the engagement, it's not the words. Ultimately, it's the engagement, which is the point that you are raising. How do you engage? And it's the same with AI, because AI by itself is nothing. You know, it's some stuff. It's not conscious, it cannot be conscious, because anything which is stored on a machine or which is processed by a machine itself is only an implementation of an algorithm. So it's only equations. Equations can't be conscious, you know, that's one way of looking at it. So ultimately, even AI can get you stuff if your active consciousness engages with it. So you can pull stuff out of it. In that sense, your interaction with it, your engagement with it, endows it with consciousness in a transitory sense. And to that extent, in fact, I use the phrase AI as artificial nature. So we have nature of all kinds. So this is going to be another kind of nature. And just as ultimately nature is our teacher in every sense, you know, you go into a forest, certainly it inspires us. So even AI, depending upon how you engage with it, will provide us knowledge and insight about ourselves, because we human beings, 99.99% of the time, we are no different from AI. Not only are we no different from AI, we are not even LLMs, we are SLMs, small language models, right? And so from SLMs we can only get that much. And ultimately, it sort of changes the world to the extent that that the machine-like nature of the world will compel us humans to confront, as T.S. Eliot said, our normal state is as hollow men, because we are ordinarily hollow men. And how do we bring in that spark of the Atman within our normal lives? Because as in the Sankhya system, this Purush, it also is projecting itself through all the tattvas. So there's a lot of wonderful interplay because it's projected through all the tattvas. Therefore, that engagement is possible even through the Mahabhutas, through our own tattvas. And that's where you can engage at many different levels of interaction with everything around you.
Thank you so much. That was great. That was wonderful. Okay. Now that we have identified the elephant in the room, which is lack of attention because of algorithm, now what do you see? What do you suggest the practical solutions for that? So all of you are going to answer in their own sweet way.
Shall I begin?
Yeah, you start.
Okay. You mean I can explain a practice, for example?
Whatever.
Solutions.
We are talking about solution. And if you would like to, if your practice involves audience participation, sure.
Okay. Now, for me, something which is very helpful is daily having a reflective moment. And that's because I was all the time thinking of, if in many of the scriptures we are talking about being detached, then I would say, like, what does it mean, that detachment? Because I have a family, I have my children, and what does detachment mean? So one day in a meditation session, I got this insight where I thought, like, for me, a daily practice is I detach myself from the day, and as if I'm going on a different planet, and I'm looking at myself, and then I look at myself and I ask myself, what did Sharda do this day? And what are the questions that she has asked herself? Because if life is about inquiry of the ultimate reality, then it is very important to ask questions. And those inquiries, you don't get the time during the day in your work often to ask those deep questions. But just observing myself, detached physically, looking at myself gives me a lot of answers. Or just like sometimes I would laugh at myself. Why did I behave like that? Because there was no point doing it. Then it also helps me in a way, if things are very heavy emotionally, it dissolves somehow, having that detached perspective. So I think for us, especially in this time where a lot of stress, people are feeling encroached, it's very important to have such a practice, and then ask yourself, maybe not the question that I ask myself, but just ask the question, where did I encroach someone else's spaces, and where someone else encroached upon my space? Because that gives you then some answer about, if you say, like, dharma has so many different definitions, so many different applications, one of them is also treat the other the way you want to treated yourself. So in that sense, talking about that encroachment, reflecting on that encroachment is a very important practice, I think. Okay?
Yes, Jeffrey ji?
I think it's wonderful that you came upon this discovery while meditating, right? This detaching from yourself. Something very similar really helped me recover from about 7 years ago. I broke my ankle, and it was very painful. but I put my Vedanta to practice and I detached myself. I realized I'm not my ankle, I'm not this body. And I visualized the pain, as you mentioned, like looking down as if from another planet. I visualized that the pain was something on another planet, orbiting a star in a distant galaxy. And I was looking at it through a telescope as from a great distance. And I pushed the pain away in that sense. And in fact, I stopped taking my pain medicine because it made my mind foggy. And I didn't like it. If you want to be sthita pragya, you don't want to be on a lot of pain medicine, right? And so this practice actually was more effective than the pain medicine. And we can do wondrous things with the power of concentration. Swami Vivekananda says that you could make this world heaven or hell with the mind. And if we look at Yoga Sutra, before dhyana, right, the limb of yoga that comes right before that, dharana, right, which is often translated as concentration. And so if the problem is we're not paying enough attention, the exercise we need to do is to spend time paying attention. And of course, there are a whole variety of various mental exercises we can do. And what Sharada's just listed, I think, is a wonderful place to start. I would say that of course, meditation we should all be doing meditation, but taking some time to just concentrate. And you might say, concentrate on what? Well, there are a variety of things that people can do. I know of people who've tried to calculate pi as many, decimal points as they can, and so on. These are mental exercises. You can say, okay, I'm going to do this particular thing for a set period of time, or until I reach a certain goal. And one that I was taught many years ago that I find has a variety of benefits. That actually comes from a Buddhist text from about 5th century or so. And what you do, and you might want to write this down, think of the last thing that you experienced. And then think of something else also from today that you experienced before that, something you experienced before that, then another before that, and another before that. 5 things. It's called the 5-day reversal. So I can right now give you an example. So a short while ago, I came into this room, right? Prior to that, my wife and I came over here from the hotel, right? Prior to that, I met a friend of mine in the lobby of the hotel, and we chatted for a while. Prior to that, we had our breakfast. Prior to that, we woke up and did our morning meditation. Okay, so I've gone through the day, 5 events, and recall them in detail. Think of how you were feeling, what you were doing, visualize that. Then go to last night. What's the last thing you remember from yesterday? And then something before that, something before that. They have to be in order, right? 5 things from yesterday in reverse order, right? From last night all the way to yesterday morning. And then the day before that. You do this for 5 days. Number 1 is today. So then the day before, so that would have been Friday, right? Then Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. And 5 things from each day. And you know what you'll find that is shocking? Sometimes skeptics will say, how do we know there's rebirth? We can't remember our past lives. Most of us can't remember what happened 2 days ago, if we're really honest about it. And so this practice will aid memory. It will aid concentration, and it will make the mind stronger, right? The mind is like a muscle, and so it has to be exercised. So other things that are, of course, great. Studying something you've never studied before. Try to learn a language that you don't know. Try to learn a musical instrument. Right? These are all things that we can do to exercise the mind, and in which we're not looking at screens. So I think these would all be very helpful.
Dr. Professor? Yeah. I would like to make a few points. There is, first of all, meditation is quite an important thing in this sense. Because Charaka Samhita says meditation is one of the things which actually cures everything. That is one part. Then a question is that how do you meditate and what do you meditate? One thing to recognize is your intrinsic Atma is intrinsically pure and peaceful. First we have to recognize that. And all other things which come as the result of sanskar, external connection with the world, those things influence your atma, and then you collect that. That adds on to your karma. So it keeps on, as you keep doing karma, that keeps on adding into it makes this thing corrupt and corrupt and corrupt. So therefore you start feeling sad, and all of those things will start happening. So therefore when you meditate, you keep saying to yourself, I am pure, I am peaceful. Keep saying, I am pure, I am peaceful. Nobody else is responsible for my problems. I am only responsible for my problems. Therefore I believe that I can do well, and concentrate on yourself. So therefore, that way when you do it, then of course you will be disconnected with the rest of the things, and you will not find anybody else responsible for your problems. Okay, that is number one. Secondly, suppose you have to go from one place to another place. You know the path how to go. Okay, now every step you take depends upon the previous step. Okay, you are walking, there is all full of thorns or flowers and things you don't know. So you are walking, you step on a thorn, you bleed, then you will not be able to walk. So you should be careful in that one. So every step determines your next step. Therefore, if you are careful with that, then of course you will reach your ultimate destination. Life is also a journey like that only. So you go from one karma to another karma to the third karma and the fourth karma. This actually accumulates. The karma phala keeps accumulating. That becomes like your karmic account or your passbook, so-called passbook. This is what carries. Actually, Ram was saying vasana. This is actually sanskar. That is the same thing, karmic account. It goes from one janma to another janma. It carries with it. And therefore, every janma, the person, individual body is unique. Even if you take the twins have completely different body structure. The fingerprints do not match. So therefore, the karma carries forward. So this actually reflects in your actions along the way. Okay, that is the second point one has to remember. So that every step you take has to be carefully chosen. The third thing one has to remember is the life is like a river. So if you are standing in the river, the water that has flows past you will not come back to you. So whatever is coming to you, catch that. That's an opportunity for you. Catch that, drink that water. Whatever has gone, don't keep lamenting on it or keep going discussing about it and start complaining all over the place. Okay, that happened. All of that will never get you peace. So therefore, once you follow these principles that intrinsically the Atma is pure and peaceful, and you don't make anybody else responsible for your actions, for your miseries or happiness or something, that is what is called detachment. In the sense that you say, I am virakta. Vairagya means that only. So you detach yourself from that. So once you have that, nothing will trouble you. Because you will always find solutions for whatever comes by the way. So you will find a solution and then you will go forward. So that way you can be peaceful. This is what Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita all along. That's why I said Bhagavad Gita is the ultimate solution. So you start learning Bhagavad Gita from the school. That is ultimately step by step it develops it, ultimately reaches you to the end. That's why he says in the last shloka of Bhagavad Gita is Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Srir Vijayo Bhuti Dhruva Netir Matir Mama. There will be definitely victory only. What does victory mean? Victory means peace. So you will be peaceful here. It solves all the problems and you can be peaceful.
So Vedana, how many people know the word Vedana? And what does it mean? Absolutely excruciating suffering, right? Bad suffering. Vedana. Let's do the Sandhi Vichhed of that word. Ved plus na. Ved means knowledge, spiritual knowledge. And not the other one. Vedana. Ved, absence of knowledge. Absence of spiritual knowledge is suffering. So this is basically what they have been talking about all through. Okay, and somebody has talked about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. What does moksha means? Anybody? Liberation. Liberation from what? I'll get a simpler definition for it. Moha plus kshay is moksha. Moha ka nash, kshay means destruction of moha. Delusion. Delusion of what? That I am the body is the biggest delusion. I have a body is moksha. So spirituality is nothing more than the journey from I am a body to I have a body. That's spirituality. This is simplified level of, this is how I understand. I don't have very complex understanding of many things. In fact, anything. So, so I just try to somehow summarize in short thing. Anyway, attention is the currency of algorithm and centered to spirituality. Both Jeffrey G talks about that attention is everything, right? So both are the. In fact, Dr. Kak also talked about attention being in both the places. Where did algorithm not start? It was always there, right? That's what Subramaniam ji has also talked about that. However, can efficiency and productivity coexist with contemplation and depth? That's a question. How can we make spirituality more competitive? Because spirituality is been corrupted badly. Most people think spirituality is some kind of a religion, which is basically not. The dharma is not just that. Dharma, the moment you talk about dharma, they say, oh, is it talk about Hindu dharma or Islam or this, that. That's not true. How many people can see? Can you see this? How many rectangles are there in that?
5, 6, 8, 7, 8, 10.
No, 9. 9 is Sanatan Dharma. When you say 9, Sanatan Dharma does not say you are wrong. Someone who said 7 or 5, yeah, it's okay. Because you have to see further, you have to little more deeper, then you say 9. That's what the other panth are all about. That's why Sanatan Dharma is never a daggers drawn with other panth. Because he says eventually he will figure it out. Eventually he will start to see 9. That's exactly what Sanatan Dharma is all about. So this is so sweet that. So what we would like to know is, can efficiency and productivity coexist? Dada, you say, and then Jeffrey, and then.
No, I think they will. In fact, if you are efficient, you will be productive. So, and then, but productivity in what sense? Of course, one has to see.
Yes.
Whether you want to achieve more money or you want to be more peaceful. So, that is, ultimately we want to be peaceful. So, for that, if you are following the dharma.
How about peaceful with money?
No, money can never bring you peace. You remember, I will tell you a story of Suresh Oberoi. Many of you have heard about Suresh Oberoi. That is, he was one of the greatest actors. He made millions and millions of rupees in all kinds of things, but he was never peaceful. So he actually therefore went to one of these Brahma Kumari's sister, that is B.K. Shivani, and he started making videos, and because then he found peace there. So money did not give him peace. You are always under stress. Whether your money is there, how will I protect it? Tomorrow some looter will come and loot it. So you will always be under stress. But if you don't have anything, there is nothing to worry about. You should have enough money to survive. Okay, if that you are there, then of course you are peaceful. So money is not the solution for peace. Mental peace is internal. Peace is internal. That's why I said when you get attracted by the various outward worldly desires, then you are more likely to be less peaceful, more worried and stressed. Therefore, peace comes from inside. So you have to develop that habit of, that's why the vairagya comes. Why are these people, our shastras, emphasize on vairagya? Vairagya means that it does not mean that you should not have what you want to have for your living. You should have that. Of course, you should also have the desire for moksha. That also should be there. It is not that all the desires have to go, but the worldly desires which you don't need have to go. Excessive moha should not be there. Excessive greed should not be there. So therefore, you need peace. Once you have that, then of course you will be peaceful. And therefore, efficiency, if you are efficient in thinking in this manner, you will be productive, you will be peaceful. Ultimately, that is what we would like to achieve. So efficiency and productivity will go together.
Very good. Jeffrey ji?
For many students, the equivalent of money is a grade. And one of my students many years ago asked me, he said, if I get moksha this semester, will I get an A in your class? And I said to him, and I think there was some divine inspiration, I said, if you get moksha this semester, you won't care whether you get an A in this class. And so, yes, efficiency, productivity, of course, if the mind is, if we're sthita pragya, if our mind is clear, we'll do everything efficiently and probably make a lot of money too. But if we have peace of mind, then it won't matter. Right? What matters most is that peace of mind. The richest person is the person who's content.
Yes. Sharda ji, one minute.
Oh,
1
okay. I think Sanatan Dharma has told us, shows us that things can coexist. So efficiency and the other part, spirituality, can exist. For myself, we have created this, we call it the M model, where we say, like, if there is so much now in technology which we can use as researchers, when do we use it? We have to be very wise for what end do we use it. So we say those things that are mindless in the sense that, we don't like to do it ourselves, or the computer or the technology can help us, we should follow that then. And all the others needs our attention. So that is the mindful part. So I think in that process of coexistence, you have to look at what does it bring, the algorithms, the technology, what does it bring, for what end can I use it, but still create that space for yourself, that the mindful aspects is something you have to work on.
Okay. Now you continue.
Yes.
Last one sentence only. You are going to say one sentence only for somebody to take home. One sentence from your side.
Yes.
And it's not a complex sentence.
Live your life from within, from that unencroachable space that will give you so much peace.
Super. Jeffrey ji, beautiful, beautiful.
You are infinite joy.
Awesome.
Live and let live.
Oh, great. So I'll also give one of my 2 cents worth. That's a $1 billion worth of stuff. Awareness is the key, and awareness lives in the pause.
Wow.
And every dharmic choice reshapes the brain. Our entire brain wiring, brain chemistry, everything changes. Every choice we make changes our brain. Hence, living consciously is not just ethically superior, but it is biologically transformative. So that's the end of it. So I will end today's session by thanking all these beautiful, beautiful, fantastic speakers here in the panel. I am so proud that I was given the opportunity to become a moderator for such great stars, luminary stars. Thank you very much. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaah, sarve bhadrani paschyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you so much, Raju.